Back live tonight here in Focus. South Africa's municipalities are owing Eskom around 70 billion rands. This is an increase from the over 58 billion recorded in March. The South African Local Government Association chairperson Thami Ntuli joins us now for more on that conversation. Ntuli, good evening and thank you very much for your time. All right. Ntuli, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Mfumbathi.
The situation with the debt, it's seemingly not getting better, and by the looks of things, not about to get better. Somebody articulating it this way earlier on, saying that you have continuing load shedding, which means companies are continuing to suffer. They're not making money, and therefore they are laying off people. The very same people who previously could afford to pay their bills now can no longer afford to pay their bills because they are not employed, and therefore the debt of Eskom will continue to rise.
Exactly, Mfumbathi. Good evening to yourself and to the viewers. That's in fact the cause as to why municipalities seems to be weak when it comes to the issue of paying Eskom debts. They are not only owed by the residents, even the government departments, the businesses, as you have correctly highlighted, that the issue of load shedding, which is making businesses, in fact, to be unable to produce enough and be able to honor their debts. I think the municipalities themselves, they are owed a lot of money, which in return, it in fact disabled local government to be able to honor the debts as they are supposed to be honoring the debts, which also impacts again on the capacity of Eskom. Vice versa, it becomes a cycle, which I agree with you, that owing to the continued load shedding, it seems as if the situation is not promising to be better.
Now, how do we get a much more, I suppose, broader municipal debt relief program? Because the current one from National Treasury is highly conditional, and that not all municipalities, for example, would meet the requirements that government has put around this particular issue.
In fact, Mfumbathi, as Salga, we're saying the process to apply for the relief, in fact, should have never been the route if the intention really was to assist municipalities. We thought for the municipalities that have been owing and that have been identified that they do not have a capacity to repay the debts, they should have been granted without applying, because the conditions, the merits which municipalities need to meet it in order to be, in fact, given that relief, they seems to be quite very difficult. Like in KwaZulu-Natal, only 3 municipalities, in fact, could be granted a relief. And then looking at the number of the municipalities that we have owing Eskom, you'll understand that the condition, in fact, it's on its own, is not assisting the municipalities. If then a different approach, which was going to make it easy for municipalities to have access of the bailout by National Treasury, I think that was going to assist municipalities.
How do you then do that where you're getting municipalities to completely scrap off all the bills, that any municipality at least that seems to indicate that it can't afford to pay the bill, without cultivating a culture of non-payment amongst electricity users?
I think the problem is in two folds. The first problem is the culture, as you are correctly saying. But there is the second one, which I think to me is the biggest factor. The people who are supposed to pay, who are incapacitated by the circumstances, as we have previously highlighted, the issue of load shedding hindering the capacity to sustain the jobs, and the residents losing jobs and being unable to even pay, and other cost factors that impact on the residents, and even the government departments themselves being unable to pay for the services, and to pay even for the electricity that they have actually used, supplied by the municipalities. All those factors, in fact, there are factors which seems to be causing this failure by the municipalities. And we're of the view as Salga that we have done something to try and assist in terms of understanding how revenue collection could be enhanced, and even sending our specialists to municipalities where they are actually requested, so that they assist in enhancing the issue of revenue collection. We believe there's much more that we still need to do to ensure that the issue of the culture, encouraging the citizens, ensuring that even the government departments and the businesses are actually understanding the importance of paying, so that municipalities will be also able to pay, so that Eskom would have more capacity to even supply even electricity.
So I'm told that a good psychological number to hit in terms of revenue collection is 80%. If you do 85%, if you do 90%, even better. But if you are at least able to get at 80% of your revenue during any quarter, it demonstrates that at least you could be able to pay for your electricity and other supplies and service delivery issues. Currently, how many of the municipalities are able to get there in terms of revenue collection?
Well, the situation is quite very bad. In KwaZulu-Natal alone, the government departments, they owe municipalities billions of rands. I'm not, in fact, mentioning or including here the businesses or the residents. You see, so that on its own, it shows how this bad the situation is.
Yeah.
And hence our intervention as Salga to try and negotiate with the government departments, and to try and even making some calls to private sector, and to encourage the residents to understand the importance of paying. Even the official campaign which we started as Salga to encourage municipalities that they must have an active dialogue with the residents, so that amongst the issues that would be discussed will be the reason as to why people should actually pay for the services and even for electricity. Because the other problem which I did not mention was the issue of illegal connections, which are also a problem, and only to find that even the capacity to monitor on a regular basis whether people are getting electricity legally or illegally is also another challenge. But we believe that as much as it doesn't give any hope that anytime soon we'll see improvement, but we believe that working together, the municipalities, government departments, private sector, and the community will be able to assist municipalities to be able to pay their debts.
Do you see the prepaid meters, at least the progressive installation of them, as a panacea? Is it a silver bullet that could possibly help municipalities?
No, prepaids, in fact, they assist that a person will only use what he or she has. Because using electricity which you are not going to be able to pay for at the end of the month, in fact, it accumulates debts which you owe to the municipality, which also bring some challenges on its own. And prepaid approach is the best way of ensuring that people are honoring, they spend what actually they only have.
Yeah. The other more complex, because there are no easy solutions to these issues, is the issue that's being raised by municipalities of the 3-year restriction on any municipal borrowing. Do you think municipalities should be given maybe a little bit more latitude in terms of their ability to borrow?
Well, it depends on what is it that they will be borrowing for, because if you borrow because you can't make enough of what you need in order to provide a service, it will become a problem, because when you borrow today, it would not mean that in the future, then you'll have a capacity. So borrowing so as to settle the debts is not a solution. And what we spoke about, the issue of the culture to pay by the residents, and even for the business sector and the government departments to understand the impact of not honoring the debts, I think those are the things that can actually help local government to be able to honor the Eskom debts.
Mpemba, let's appreciate you, and thank you very much for coming on this evening here on In Focus. Chairperson of Salga, Thami Ntuli.